Good afternoon, and welcome to our TV show featuring documentaries revealing the realities behind myths using research and scholarship. I'm your host, Ergün Kırlıkovalı, and I will be with you every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're welcome to send me your feedback at #ethocide. Repeat, #ethocide. Turkic-American communities across America are deeply disturbed by the gullible calls to recognize the long-discredited political claim of Armenian Genocide on 24th of April. Such a recognition would make a mockery of history scholarship, international law, and democracy in America. Furthermore, it would not contribute to peace efforts in the Caucasus, Turkey, America, and elsewhere. As it is based on a racist and dishonest reading of history. Such calls are generally driven by ethno-religious discrimination, anti-Turkish prejudice, and Islamophobia. The highest court in Europe, the European Court of Human Rights, issued a milestone of a verdict on October 15, 2015, that will resonate for decades to come. The ECHR's Grand Chamber ruled that Armenian genocide is an opinion, not a court verdict. It can be rejected, and that would be an exercise in free speech, not hate speech. ECHR ruling also removes the genocide denier card from the Armenian lobby's hands, as a claim is just that, a claim. It cannot be denied, only accepted or rejected. In the Armenian case, the claim was questioned, researched, refuted, and rejected. That's free speech. Furthermore, the court ruled that the alleged Armenian genocide could not be compared to the court-proven Holocaust. The latter had gone through legal scrutiny at a competent tribunal via due process, and the intent was documented to be factual. Please see the Nuremberg verdict of October 1st, 1946. A formidable array of world-renowned historians also dispute the Armenian claims of genocide. In fact, here is what 69 of them said in a public statement that was published in the New York Times and Washington Post on May 19, 1985. I quote parts of it. As for the charge of genocide, no signatory of the statement wishes to minimize the scope of Armenian suffering. We are likewise cognizant that it cannot be viewed as separate from the suffering experienced by the Muslim inhabitants of the region. The weight of evidence so far uncovered points in the direction of serious inter-communal warfare perpetrated by Muslim and Christian irregular forces, complicated by disease, famine, suffering, and massacres in Anatolia and adjoining areas during the First World War, unquote. The archives in Turkey are open for 35 years, and more than 100 countries have already sent their scholars there, except Armenia. Armenian archives, on the other hand, are still closed, and limited access is given only to those who already subscribe to the official Armenian narrative. So, what are the Armenians afraid of? Do they fear that the smoking guns of past war crimes will be revealed, causing the world to finally realize how heinous, traitorous, torturous, violent, and brutal the Armenian revolutionaries actually were? Against this backdrop, let's now turn our attention to the Los Angeles Unified School District. The LAUSD Board passed two resolutions in 2020, Resolution 008, 2021, and Resolution 010, 2021, which declared 24th of April a school holiday, calling it Genocide Remembrance Day. Thus, the votes of ill-informed politicians eager to appease a vocal special interest a long-discredited political claim of Armenian genocide is transformed into settled history. Such hypocrisy would put Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia to shame. If judging historical controversies can easily be done by politicians raising hands, then why do we need universities, archives, and researchers? LAUSD resolutions violate even the board's own rules, 72 and 73. LAUSD resolutions also show contempt for court and their standing verdicts in the US and Europe. LAUSD resolutions are based on a racist and dishonest reading of history. They are racist because they dismiss the 500,000 Turkish victims who met their tragic ends at the hands of Armenian revolutionaries. And dishonest because they ignore Armenian rebellions, terrorism, territorial demands, raids, bombings, assassinations, and more. LAUSD resolutions are wrong on the Karabakh issue too. Karabakh is legally and historically part of Azerbaijan, not Armenia. It has never been a part of Armenia. Armenia illegally occupied Karabakh for 27 years, committed war crimes and ethnic cleansing. 4 United States security resolutions, numbers 822, 53, 74, and 84, were there. And UNSC members unanimously voted for them. LAUSD resolutions passed without consulting Turkish-American or Azerbaijani-American communities about the other side of the story. After all, these communities will be negatively impacted most. Furthermore, these are the complex historical and legal matters on which board members have no expertise. LA is a melting pot of hundreds of ethnic groups such as Latinos, Asians, Blacks, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, and more. Yet, LAUSD Board has not recognized the genocide of Native Americans in spite of the fact that California Governor Gavin Newsom apologized to the Native Americans in 2019. Then there was slavery in this country for centuries, victimizing generations of African Americans. Asians, Hispanics, Jews, Irish, and Catholic were all discriminated against and persecuted at one time or another. The LAUSD Board did not assign school holidays for any of these. Then there are 8 million Congolese massacred in Congo between 1886 and 1908. Another 8 million perished during the Holodomor in Ukraine and the Stalin purges in the 1930s in the Soviet Union. The LAUSD Board did not honor these as genocide either. There are many more cases in history, a list too long to read here. The LAUSD Board is not the institution to make a determination on any of these incidents and events. LAUSD is not equipped to judge which case of humans' inhumanity to human is genocide and which is not. The UN, United Nations, established the International Court of Justice, ICJ, just for this purpose. Then why does the LAUSD Board pass 2 racist and dishonest resolutions discriminating against the Turkic-American communities? And why, during a global pandemic, when 31 million Americans are fighting for their lives and more than 500,000 dead, was this really the top priority for the LAUSD Board politicians? To pick with tweezers from among many, many legitimate cases of genocide a proven fallacy? What kind of people are these board members showing selective morality to one community at the expense of another? If you think I'm exaggerating, think again. Here's a letter by a group of concerned Turkish-American parents who call themselves Parents Against Hate, emailed to LAUSD Board. Parents Against Hate, or PAH, is initiated by concerned Turkish-American parents and aims to amplify the voice of Turkic community and reverse the LAUSD Board's decision to declare April 24th a school holiday. I quote, as quote, concerned parents of children enrolled in LAUSD and other families in the Turkic-American community in Los Angeles, we reached out to your committee back in January. We respectfully appealed for you to reconsider, and retract the resolution made in October 2020 to declare April 24th as a school holiday in remembrance of the alleged Armenian Genocide. In comprehensive detail, we proffered the reasons why we were deeply concerned for the safety and well-being of our children and the long-term effects of trauma that resulted from bullying, racial discrimination, and hate speech, which are directly related to the Armenian holiday. Besides making holiday declaration without consulting with other communities who will be greatly affected, the response by LAUSD Vice President Jackie Goldberg clearly conveys the lack of awareness and interest in the realities that our children and even us adults must face every day as ethnic minorities living in Los Angeles. Please also note that both the LAUSD Board decision and Ms. Goldberg's response letter lack objective and accurate fact-checking. In her response letter dated February 3rd, 2021, Ms. Goldberg declares LAUSD carefully monitors all hate speech and includes instruction requiring all students, staff, and employees to ensure that all are treated with respect and fairness. She also inquires if we have any actual event or incident of harassment, discrimination, prejudice, or other unacceptable behavior that is directed at our students or anyone else's children to report. Based on the Office of Civil Rights, OCR, Department of Education's anti-discriminatory statutes, any form of racial, ethnic prejudice and bullying is indeed a serious matter that obligates all schools to prevent bullying and discrimination and respond adequately to such misconduct. Yet bullying, hate speech, and racial discrimination are still such major problems among kids in schools. In addition, the antagonistic incidents by Armenians against both Turkic-American kids and adults have been increasing over the last couple of years. While the schools might have hotlines and policies and processes in place to address bullying, these apparently have not prevented the hate speech, bullying, and discrimination that Turkic-American kids still continue to experience. Nor can they ever revert the lifelong psychological impact and trauma on such young, innocent minds once they occur. If you were indeed informed about the discrimination and bullying that Turkic-American students and ethnic minority in LAUSD endure every day, you would have taken this into consideration before you voted for the April 24th holiday to show that you are siding with one ethnic community while vilifying other. We are now asking the members of the LAUSD Board to please listen to the hundreds of parents, students, and families who have experienced targeted bullying and discrimination for being Turkic-American. The data from the survey recently conducted by the Parent Advocacy Group clearly shows why the April 24th holiday will surely exacerbate the already heated situation and increase the number of incidents. The results from the responders reveal that many Turkic-Americans have been victims of hate speech, bullying, and discrimination at a LAUSD school. These children have and still feel the need to suppress their ethnic identity and heritage. Many have and are still undergoing counseling to heal from the psychological trauma. The findings of the survey indicate the following. Over 500 Turkic Americans filled out the survey conducted in December 2020, 4 months ago. 80% of these respondents were parents. Half of the respondents have kids attending K-5 grade, and 1/3 of the kids attend LAUSD. 85% of the respondents are very extremely concerned about the holiday decision. 3 out of 4 people are very concerned about the multiple possible consequences. The top concern is bullying, and it is followed by being unsafe at school. Increased hate speech, becoming target of hate speech. 88% are very concerned about increased bullying at school. 84% are very concerned about increased hate speech at school. More than 50% of the respondents' kids have experienced hate crime or had been target of hate speech, bullying, and harassment from Armenian kids at school. The majority of the respondents, 85%, are very concerned about the decision on the school holiday and expounded about this. Here are just a few responses among hundreds. My nephew has been discriminated against, bullied, and beaten already in the middle school by Armenian schoolmates. He had a very bad school life. He had to go to therapies. I have 2 young children and don't want them to go through this as well. The decision of LAUSD is a shame and will allow horrible things to come. My daughter was already attacked in social media, put down many times during history classes, and came home crying. I can't even imagine what harm designating a day will do for the innocent kids at school. Such a day will only help grow the hate and racism at schools and in the community. This school holiday will not create an environment of understanding and peace. On the contrary, Turkic community and children will be targets of increased hate speech and discrimination. Our children will not want to go to school and feel the need to suppress their heritage and identity. Over many years, this could do irreparable cumulative harm to the mental health of our children. As a parent, I am concerned. I think this only increases the divisions among people. To be bombarded with such virulent tirade at such a young age, especially in a country such as the US, is deeply disturbing. I would be nervous to send my children to school in LA. We hope that you need not wait to see the lifelong impact and psychological damage because of the harassment this holiday will cause upon our children, for you to finally empathize with us and consider what is truly fair for all students in your school district. Thank you for your attention and consideration. Here's another, a very powerful letter sent to LAUSD. We, as the concerned parents of Turkish-American children who are enrolled in your school programs, are writing to you in light of the increasing hostility and violent aggression against the Turkish community in Los Angeles, as most recently demonstrated by a racist attack on Cafe Istanbul in Beverly Hills by a group of Armenian extremists on November 4th, 2020. As clearly evident, in the unedited footage from the restaurant's security cameras, the assault was violent and vicious. The perpetrators stormed inside and ransacked the restaurant during business hours and physically attacked the employees amid death threats and pro-Armenian sentiments. Leaving at least one employee injured and a small family business that's already struggling due to the pandemic unoperational for several days. This vandalism, assault and battery was officially condemned as a hate crime by the Beverly Hills Police Department. It is a clear example of the escalating Armenian aggression against the Turkish community in Los Angeles. It is also a threatening example of the hateful, violent, and dangerous behavior that endangers our children in their own neighborhoods and schools, where they should be safe and learning to peacefully thrive with students of all ethnicities and racial backgrounds. We, the Turkish-American community of Southern California, are extremely concerned about the safety of our children in light of this incident and the swelling wave of racial attacks on Turkish people in Los Angeles. Initiate a dialogue with the parents of Turkish-American children that attend your schools. A sensible and fair consultation should take place before implementing such mandates that affect all. Our children are a minority and outnumbered by the Armenian American kids in your school district. Thus, we kindly ask the LA Unified School District Board to address this following question: what can you do to protect Turkish-American children from being bullied? And there's more. How can you cultivate a culture of tolerance and openness at schools? Here's another one. How will you prevent a surge in hate speech directed at Turkish-American children? How can you ensure that our kids won't feel the need to suppress or hide their Turkish-American identity in classrooms? Finally, what would you do if you were in our shoes? We hope that LA Unified School District Board will not be the instrument of institutionalized hatred and systemic bullying by one ethnic minority over another, but instead embrace all of its diverse communities, large and small, and teach the children peace. End of letter to LAUSD. As one can easily see, the LAUSD Board has failed on all fronts: history scholarship, legal precedents, democracy, student safety, citizen equality, fiduciary duty, and more. So please allow me to ask LAUSD Board a few simple questions myself. Why did you feel you had to appease an aggressive and deceptive Armenian lobby? Why take a partisan political decision to teach children a proven fallacy as the truth? Was this really your top priority while we're all going through the eye of the storm called COVID-19 pandemic? Was this your top priority? I urge the board to rescind those ill-informed, ill-advised, and ill-intentioned resolutions. Will the LAUSD Board rescind those resolutions? Are those resolutions against the US Constitution? What are the true future trends? Well, those are all great topics for future discussions. Thank you for joining me, and see you next week.